Hey there, Chris, it's Alan. Are you on, is your ears on?
Yeah, hi, Alan.
Yeah, I think John is going to be late.
John is going to be late. We don't have Dennis and we still don't have a quorum.
That's right.
You need five
Hey,
for,
Alan, thank you for calling in too.
I'm asking Matt and Lori. We need five for a quorum, right?
I'm here.
Hi there, Lori. Yeah,
Hi.
That makes four commissioners, though.
yeah. I didn't hear anything from Dennis. I know just John was going to be delayed.
Jeff Stedman will be late as well, but that's not
That's-
not a voting person.
If anybody has Dennis's number, see if he's text him. I'll text on Mike.
Hey, Chris, I see Mike Matthews as an attendee.
Oh,
So Mike, if you can hear us, come on in as a participant.
as a panelist, if he can.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote him to panelist right now. It's not working for me. So, oh, he just left, but I'm gonna resend him the invite.
he's-
Oh, there you go. All right, perfect.
Wait, oh, hi, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the big kids table.
Thank you.
All right, I guess if we have a quorum, don't know what Dennis's business is. We know that John will be late. So I'll kick off the application review committee. Let's see, pull up my agenda, and the first applicant on the agenda is the 13-31 South Main Street Marriott Sono Residence in hotel expansion. TR Sono Partners LLC, the applicant, proposes to demolish an existing two-story building and construct an addition to the hotel located on an adjacent parcel. The improvements include covered parking, sidewalk construction, and installation of on-site stormwater drainage system, oil grit separator prior to discharge into the city stormwater drainage system. The proposed development is cited to decrease the total amount of impervious area and reduce flow and volume of storm run. Construction. Okay. Do we have anybody that would that can speak on behalf of the applicant? Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonnell. For the record, my name is Liz Suchy. I'm a partner at Carmody, Torrance, Sandak, and Hennessy, 1055 Washington Boulevard in Stamford, and I represent the applicant TR Sono Partners LLC. Present during tonight's call is Derek Dene. He is our project engineer. Colin Berthier of Binefield Architecture, in case you have any questions of Colin or of Derek, and also Alan Cosby is on the line, and he is project manager for this project. Just want to give you 2 minutes worth of background. This is an expansion project for the existing Sono residence in Marriott that is located at 47 South Main Street. That project was approved in 2009. The building was constructed in the late 2018, 2019, and it has 102 rooms plus parking structure attached to it in the rear. The proposal is to demolish the building that is directly to the north of the hotel, and in its place construct a similar 8-story building with an additional 48 rooms. So if all approvals are obtained, the hotel would have 150 rooms with a parking resource of about 135 parking spaces. At this point, since your typical questions relate to stormwater management and how the project complies or complements the harbor management plan, if you would indulge me, I would just like to turn it over to Derek, who I'm sure do a far better job than I at describing the stormwater management plan, and any questions you may have of him. And certainly he'd be more than amply able to answer them. If you have any other questions of me, I'd be happy to answer them. The project just is in its infancy with the city agencies. We have submitted the application, I believe it was in November. We're going through the zoning process and other city agencies, including review by Public Works, Transportation, Mobility and Parking, South Norwalk Electric and Water, Fire Department, Health, and all the other agencies that are who can exercise jurisdiction over this project. At this point, Derek, if you could walk the commissioners through the site plan, the stormwater management proposal, I think that would be really helpful.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Derek Donay, licensed professional engineer from DeAndrea Surveying and Engineering, PC. Our firm was tasked, we are the engineers and surveyors for the project, and we were tasked with preparing a detailed site design that would address site grading, utility connections, and manage stormwater runoff, such that the development will not cause an adverse impact on adjacent properties or to the local stormwater runoff patterns. So I'll quickly walk you through if I'll share my screen, and I'll show you just the difference between existing and proposed conditions and our stormwater improvements. So this slide right here shows the existing conditions on the site. It's currently 2 properties, as Liz mentioned, on the, let's see, the south side, that is currently the existing hotel. And on the north portion of this, that is an existing mixed-use building, retail and office building. It covers almost the entire property over here. Part of the site development is to combine the 2 parcels into 1 property. Total overall have an area of approximately 0.7 acres. The site is located along the outer fringe of the coastal area management zone. However, it is a fully developed area and is not adjacent to any coastal resources. It's in a downtown fully developed area. You have the City of Norwalk Police Department parking lot to the south, the Metro North Railroad to the west, another commercial building to the north, and South Main Street to the east. The existing site is made up almost entirely of paved impervious surfaces and buildings. It's approximately 99% paved or hardscape. The existing hotel, which Liz mentioned, was constructed a few years ago. That included some water quality hydrodynamic stormwater treatment systems, that's oil grid separators. So that already has an existing storm drainage system that's used to treat the stormwater runoff from its portion of the site. All the stormwater runoff from the entire site is discharged into the city's storm drainage system in South Main Street. Now I'll show you the proposed conditions. All right, so the proposed site design includes the following. We have the removal of the existing mixed-use building, the construction of the new hotel addition with both covered ground level parking and an attached parking garage, some minor site grading, sanitary and utility connections, and storm drainage improvements. Access to the site is maintained over the existing hotel driveway entrance, which is to remain. The proposed development will incorporate, this is so part of the stormwater measurements, it incorporates a non-impervious surface treatment along the western side of the new addition. So this white area along the western side of the building, that is not going to be a paved or a hardscape surface. So that in itself, by reducing impervious surfaces on the site, helps reduce the amount of runoff, both volume and peak flows coming off the site. Well, that's about a decrease of 1,700 square feet of impervious surfaces as compared to existing conditions. The stormwater quality measures we're proposing for the new hotel addition portion of the site, these include catch basins with deep sumps and traps in the parking lots and a couple yard drains in the rear. Those are used as pre-treatment measures to reduce grit and floatables from driveway areas. We have a new stormwater quality hydrodynamic treatment system, an oil grit separator, if you will, that is used to help remove oils and sediment from the stormwater runoff from the building and parking garage improvements. That'll be right here. So all of the stormwater runoff that's collected from the parking area, the hotel building itself, all gets routed through this system here. So we have we have the catch basins as pre-treatment measures, and this further removes the sediment and oils. These measures combined will be used to help mitigate the impacts of water quality pollution to downstream areas. The existing site itself has no water quality measures. So all the stormwater runoff from the existing building and paved areas just sheds off site untreated. So it's our opinion that the site we have developed will provide water quality and manage stormwater runoff such that the development will not cause any adverse impact to adjoining properties, the city's storm drainage system, or local drainage patterns. I'm available for questions if you have any regarding what we're proposing.
Is this a pre-application?
No,
I don't think this is a deep, it's a CAM application.
Right.
correct.
Derek, thank you
Yep.
very much for your presentation. A quick question on the back side. What is that? The west side of the property? Yeah, right
Yep.
there. Do you have an idea now of what features that will be? So I love the idea of the removal of the non-impervious surface, but what are we talking about here? Will that be kind of like a patio area or a garden, or what are we thinking? Or what are you thinking?
It's currently called out on the landscape architect's plans as more of a decorative stone, like a crushed stone type treatment. Only because of the tight nature of the building and the railroad, he didn't think, you'd be able to grow very much back there. So right now, for maintenance purposes, it's just a decorative crushed stone, which will, water goes into that and then goes into the ground beneath that as far as infiltration goes. Less runoff than an impervious surface.
And sorry, I don't mean to grill you on this aspect,
Yep.
but what you had a general idea on the reduction of impervious surface. What is that number?
Yes, reduction of 1,700 square feet.
Great. Thank you.
How tall is the new structure going to be?
It too
I
will
don't-
be 8
okay.
stories. 8
Thank
stories
you.
matching the building that's there right now.
Matching the existing hotel, not the existing. Not the
Right.
buil- right. The existing building's like 1 or 2 stories, right?
Right. This will match the existing hotel in height and number of stories.
Right.
Anyone have any other comments for Derek or any questions for him or myself?
I do not.
If you'd like, we can certainly, I think we can show you an image, an elevation image of the front of the building. I believe Colin Berthier might be able to do that, if that's helpful just for informational
minute.
purposes.
Sure.
I will stop share then.
Great, thank you. So there you go. The existing obviously is on the left, and that has been, that was completed in approximately 2019. And the new building would be on the right, connected in the middle of that connection floor to floor. And in answer to one of the earlier questions, not only was a special permit application filed with the Planning and Zoning Commission, but also a coastal area management application. So this is a referral to you because of that CAM filing and because the property is within 1,000 feet of the coastal resource, namely the Norwalk River. But as Derek indicated, it's on the far western boundary of the coastal area management zone. And it's the coastal resource is interrupted by sidewalks, curbs, streets, other developed properties, more sidewalks, curbs, and streets all the way down to Water Street. So,
Right.
and in an already developed urban area. If anyone has any other questions, we're happy to answer them.
No, I would just say I'm very pleased to see that the need for additional hotel rooms in that location. I think it's terrific that the hotel is obviously worked out and needs to expand. I think that's a terrific development.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, I propose we just hold off on taking a vote till we get Jeff Stedman and John here. They help, they craft the language of the motions better for us. But I don't think we have any, I don't think we have any problems with it as we stand right now.
Well, thank you for your time this evening. Hopefully that you can craft that language during your full commission meeting a little bit later.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That would be great. Thank you very much. And we wish all of you a very happy holiday and happy new year. And I'm sure we'll see you again and with new and other things in the new year. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Suchi.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
your time.
Stay well, everyone.
Be well.
Thanks, Liz.
Good, okay. The next agenda item is 121 Old Saugatuck Road. Kevin McLaughlin, the applicant, proposes to replace and repair sections of an existing seawall and construct a 440 dock at the location. The proposed dock consists of an 11-foot long by 3-foot wide ramp attached to an existing seawall in the location of a previous dock, and a 7x14 float with a 3x3 landing float. The float will be held in place by twin stiff arms. The ramp and the floats will be constructed off-site and brought on-site for installation. Yeah, John, let me know about this. He didn't exactly type this up correctly. It's 2 separate applications, one for the seawall and one for the dock. So we can consider those separately. Is there anybody from the applicant on the call?
Yes, Tom Ryder here from Latech.
Hi, Tom. Go ahead,
Would I be able to share my screen?
please do.
Thank you. Okay, believe you can see my screen.
Yes,
Okay, so we just have an application is for 121 Old Saugatuck, shown here by the star. Has a water wood access to Canfield Creek. Just scrolling down, just highlighted it here for the for best viewing. This is an existing seawall. Right in here, there is no seawall. There is a tidal wetland area and this entire area here. And then there's a seawall that goes from here over here and then down here. We can show it better on the site plans, but this is a good explanation on the aerials. What we're proposing is a dock right here, and then a seawall section to be replaced here. And then we're going to be fixing the rest of these as we go along. This one will be section which I'll show you later. It's hidden by the trees, but this section here will be replaced. This small section here will be replaced. And like I said, the rest of them will just be kind of repointed. And then there will be a top cap put on the entire wall. But the application itself, I'm sorry, way too quick, is the dock first. I have both sets of plans as stated. Yes, this is 2 applications. One is for a 440 dock and one is for a COP. The reason for the 2 applications is because a COP is designed to modify or authorize existing structures, whereas you cannot add a dock under the COP. So we had to file a 440 dock application separately, but we're presenting them both tonight together, basically. So what we have here is this was an existing area. There's a little divot here where there was an old step in here from an old dock, and we're just putting the dock back where in the general location. Obviously, we can't put any piles in here, so we're going to go with 2 stiff arms and then just a ramp to a float system. We've at the final stages of DEP review, and they have asked us to elevate this section here. So we put a step in there, and I'll show you the profile, and just to cover up over the Spartina vegetation, which is typically what they want and what I like as well, to give solar access to the plants. And then this is basically what it looks like. We have the wall here, we're elevating it slightly here, and then we have a little step here, and then the ramp and the float. And the float, as per our standards and DEP standards, has 18 inch high float skids. This, we like to put the aerials, everything on the aerials to give this a spatial understanding, but this is basically what it looks like. And I guess at this point, but since we are looking at two applications, I can continue with the walls and we can just answer questions at the end, or I can open it up now and discuss the dock portion at your leisure.
Why don't you go straight on through the wall? Then
Okay, great.
you can hold our thoughts.
Yep. So here we have the wall. Again, this was the area here with the dock. This is an existing wall, and then it has a small return. And then there's a wall here that goes down here and then comes back. This area here is going to be replanted. There's a bunch of invasives in here. We're going to replant this whole area with a nice native area. The reason for this is this house, there's no longer a house here. The person had purchased it, taking the house down and putting a new house up. And now we're fixing up the shoreline as well. So we had a mason come out and look at it, and our engineer looked at it. And this area here needs some work for rebuilding. So we're rebuilding this one section. We originally had concrete blocks placed in there, just as kind of a lower profile for the mason to step on. But the DEP didn't want the submerged boulders or the submerged blocks in there. So now what we have is sheets of plywood, and this will be done during low tide. And you can they're going to put some sandbags down here. It might be a little precarious, but he says he's done it in the past and it has worked for him. So we're proposing that. And then, like I said, this will be over here will be another section. This one's about only 2.5 feet tall, not even. So it's a really small return wall. It's just in disrepair, but we're including it as part of the application as well. And then we have certain profile features on here, but I don't really know how much we need to get into. I mean, that's up to you guys if you want to get into the details, but basically it's just all profiles. I think this provides the best information for me to present as well. So that's really it for repairs or reconstruction, repairs, and then the dock. Like I said, I have that aerial photograph. We want to go back to it and discuss there. I have some photographs of the site at the end if you'd like to see them, but that's basically the presentation.
Okay. And what's mean low water? It's is that minus?
Minus 3.7, which is out.
It's out.
-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dock will sit on the bottom on the floats,
Well,
on the
it-
skids. I mean,
correct.
yeah. Is there any modification to the wall to construct that, or is the landing for the dock and the bridge over that?
Well, there is there's a little step down here. There's a little platform, concrete platform here. And then there's a little step down in here, which I actually have in a photograph I can show you when I get done with the plan view. And so we're filling that area in, and then we're kind of elevating the dock through so this is going to be elevated to 5.3, which is the rest of the wall. So right now it goes down about 18 inches or 12 inches. And we're going to level that off and then put a little step behind it so that the dock can be elevated again to provide the solar penetration to the vegetation. So that's the modification to that wall. And then we're going to have a cap put on top of all these walls as well. So there really isn't any reconstruction work here. It's really just kind of modifying it for the dock.
Any other questions? Now it's a COP for the wall. Is the dock a pre-application? Is that, or do you need a pre-application for a 440 dock?
No, we have to, as part of a 440, we have to notify your commission. So we did so, and then I was invited to present as part of that.
Okay.
I think that's where that relationship ends.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I think we'll wait for Jeff Stedman to make sure we to get our response wording correct. But I don't have any problems with this at this point.
I have no objection at this point.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. I think we're all set with that.
So I don't need to hang around until at the end of the meeting. You guys will discuss that internally and then give me the signed consultant form, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever opinions you may have on it.
Yes.
Great. Well, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the evening. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll talk at the next application.
Thanks, Tom.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. The next application is 65 Rote Nav on Farm Creek. The John Wheeldryer is the applicant, proposes to construct a 4x4 piling supported timber pier, 3x16 ramp, and a 7x14 timber floating dock. The pier and ramp will have open grid decking. The floating dock will be supported by 18 inches above the substrate by timber float stops. Construction will involve both on-land platforms as well as in-water derricks and work floats. I don't know if that's all the scope. When I looked at these, I believe there's also reconstructing the seawall. But if there's somebody from the applicant, maybe we can clarify that.
Hi, good evening. John Hiltz for the applicant.
Hi, John.
How's everybody tonight?
Good.
Yeah, there's actually, it's analogous to what Tom just presented to you, a seawall under a COP and a new dock, actually replacing a previous dock with a new dock under the 440 application. I can share my screen if you want, and you can look at it, or I can just describe it to you basically in a nutshell. Currently, there's at the site, there's a seawall that consists of timber lagging and steel beams driven into the substrate. And they've exceeded their design life by probably about 10 years. So that needs to be replaced. And basically what we're doing is proposing to do so in kind. We'll remove sections of the seawall and replace as we go along. There's actually access from the upland for machinery to come through the side yard and into the back, so we can kind of come around the back of the house and work our way back as we go. There will be a small section of masonry wall beneath the existing porch at the property. Right now, there's kind of a hand set stone with some mortar wall there. It's not really sufficient to do the job, and furthermore, it's holding up some supports that actually support the porch itself. So we want to tidy that up while we're in the process of doing this. When we redo the wall, there's a drainage easement that goes alongside the north side of the property. We're drawing the wall that, the existing wall kind of encroaches on that easement. It doesn't encroach upon, there's a pipe that looks to be in the neighbor's property more than on this property. And we're going to just draw the wall southward so we don't come close to that easement. We'll bring the wall around and replace it with a return at the south side so that it's basically self-contained and not dependent upon a similar section of seawall at the southern adjacent property. One of the additional things we're going to do here is that the area immediately landward of the new wall, its existing grade is basically, for the most part, below the coastal jurisdiction limit. We don't propose to fill that higher than, to bring it above the coastal jurisdiction limit. What we're going to do is fill it to a point where it will be able to support high marsh vegetation, and we're going to plant spike grass in there, as opposed to having the guy put down some more bluegrass sod that's just going to get killed in perpetuity if he tries to go that route. So that's something the DEP actually was very happy to see. So that'll be an area of high marsh there. And then waterward of the new wall, what we're going to do is while they're there, they can install a small landing that's independent of the wall. And that landing will, provide access to a ramp that will then lead to a floating dock. The floating dock will be secured by a strut coming from the, it'll be secured by the ramp itself on a double hinge. And it will have a driven float stop system beneath it. So it, has the 18 inches of clearance above the substrate at low water. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so the new soldier pile and timber lagging wall goes in the exact same line as the old one.
Actually, what it does is at the north side, it goes landward of the existing.
Yep.
And then if you look at the existing and the proposed plan view for the wall, there's kind of a jog at the south end. So what we're doing is we're basically splitting the difference and going alongside, we're going in a straight line instead of trying to follow that jog. There's a minimal, I don't think there's any net increase in encroachment into the waterway because whereas, where we go out, we also go in, so to speak.
Are there any drawings for review at this point?
I submitted drawings to you. I can share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, that
be
thing is a
helpful.
good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Let me find that.
Can anyone hear me?
can
We
hear
gotcha.
you.
I'm having trouble. I lost my link. I'm on my phone.
Ah,
Could someone tell Amelia to send me the link and maybe I can get back on?
I'll resend it to you now, Dennis.
Thank you.
All right, it should be in your inbox.
Got it. Thank you very much. Sorry for the inconvenience here.
All right, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
this is the existing plan view. Here's the existing wall, and there's the jog I talked about.
Mhm.
All right, here's the drainage easement, which extends the lots in this waterway. For some reason, the property lines extend well into the waterway. Obviously, nothing can be built there. But I guess whenever they were created, that was a different time and a different world. So there's your existing wall. Let me see if I can show you the proposed. Okay. And here you can see the new wall, which basically, again, we go away from the drainage easement. We bring the wall around. We have a return at both ends. And then we have that small concrete knee wall below the porch itself.
John, I think we're still on the former drawing.
You don't see that?
We're on the
Yeah.
existing plan, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you have the existing plan still.
All right, let's see what we can do here.
Technology at its best.
Yeah, well, we're all doing fun stuff here. Let's see if I can see. Let's try that one. No.
Well, the wall's straight, so I think that indicates it's the proposed.
Exactly. Yep. No, I'm not doing too good here.
I have confidence in you.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Well, that didn't work. I'll try again. That's just showing the existing, isn't it?
I don't see
No,
that jog.
I
I think
think-
that that's the new one.
I think
Alright.
that's the new one too, because it's
Okay,
straight.
fine. If that, then I guess you're seeing what you want to see and what I want you to see. So that being the case, again, we're going to, you know, the wall is pretty straightforward. There's access, as you see, through the side of the property. And the area basically between the patio and the porch will be, you know, that area waterward of that and, you know, landward of the new wall will be at elevation 5.4, which, you know, gets enough salt water inflow through the wall itself and through overtoppings on higher tides to support the new vegetation, the spike grass.
So what happens at the south end? Is that you show an extension below the property line? Is that,
That's existing. There, you know, this wall originally, for some reason, I did work at the adjacent property some years back, and who knows? So, you know, they built the wall so that it went into that property. We're not proposing to do anything at that property. We're going to maintain that wall. And we're going to make sure that nothing gets disturbed at that wall. There's a beam right basically at the property line. So that can be kind of left alone. And
a beam meaning a
Just-
pile?
sorry?
A pile?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then the 14-foot return, is that the masonry part or is that somewhere else?
No, that will be similar construction to the timber lagging and steel H pile.
And the masonry part is under the deck, separate from the,
Exactly. Exactly. Up here, we terminate at the face of the deck behind the house, and then beneath that, we construct the masonry.
John, excuse my question, but is the dock in a separate drawing or is it?
Yes, this is just
Okay.
the wall drawings.
yeah, if we don't have any, if there are any more questions about the wall reconstruction, let's jump to the dock.
You want to look at the,
Yeah.
okay, sure. Let's go to that. See if I can find it. And- All right, is that good for everybody? This is the landing, the pier, ramp, floating dock.
Hmm.
The new wall is shown on this, just for reference purposes. Any questions or any? Observations?
So how many pilings are going in for the pier?
The pier, 2 pilings. And they'll be beneath the footprint of the pier itself.
Is it a separate structure from the wall or is there a connection?
Yep, it's separate from the wall. No hard connection to the wall whatsoever.
All right, I see that it's on float stops. I don't really have any other questions or objections.
Okay.
Is there any other comments, questions?
I'm good with this.
So Dennis, what we've been doing is, because Jeff's usually the one who guides us in the language of what we're exactly voting on for these, because we have CAMs, COPs, and 440 docs. There's an, we've got a variety of stuff we're looking at tonight. I was waiting for Jeff to sort of.
Yeah, he called me and said he was gonna be late. I don't know how.
That's fine. And when John comes on, well,
Is this the last application?
I believe there's one more. There's the old, yeah, let me see. Where's my?
Okay. Why don't you proceed?
Yeah. All right, well, thank you then, John.
Sure.
We'll vote in later on in the meeting.
I'll wait to hear from you.
Or
Thanks, John.
All right, everybody have a great holiday.
Same to
You
you.
too,
John.
thank you.
Merry
Thanks, good to
Christmas.
see you all. Take care. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time.
Take care, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, the last application is 17 East Beach Road, the Belle Isle section, CAM application. The applicants, John and Kay Garrett, plan to construct a new addition and elevate the first floor of their principal residence at 17 East Beach Drive. The current residence is non-conforming to FEMA flood regulations. The proposed site plan indicates placement of a new stormwater management system that includes a Cultec system and retaining walls. Do we have anybody from the applicant?
Hello, Abed Yacoub here from SE Minor on behalf of the applicants.
I bet, please go ahead and give us a brief overview of what's going on.
Sure. So I think, the narrative pretty much covered it, the job description. The proposal is an addition on the north side of the property and raising the house to bring it into compliance with the FEMA flood zone regulation. There are retaining walls proposed around the perimeter to hold up to retain grade. There's a Cultec system for stormwater mitigation for the additions. Our property is surrounded by Parkview Road, East Beach Drive, and Foster Place. And that is pretty much it in a nutshell. The primary thing here is bringing the house into compliance by raising it to elevation 17.
Okay.
And if there are any questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
All right. Do you have a site plan to talk to, or do you want me to put one up? Yeah.
Let me see. I think I have one open. If you want, I can try to share here. Does everybody see that okay?
It's coming.
There it is.
All righty. So yes, this is our site plan. The addition is on the north side of the property, facing Foster Place. Walls are around the east and south and west side. The Cultec, as you see, is on the west side of the property, towards the East Beach Drive side. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Where are the Cultec?
The Cultecs are right here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep.
And what's going to run into those roof leaders, driveway? What do you have collected to go into there?
I believe we are collecting the roof leaders from the addition. on the north side, and well, it runs back to it would be the west side too. So roof collection.
Okay. And how far is this from the water itself? It's fairly close, but not adjacent, right?
Correct. So we are not actually a waterfront property here. I have the locus pulled up. So the Long Island Sound is to the south. And then I try to make the locus a little bigger here so everybody can see. So the water is down over here. Here, let me try this. Yeah, so the Long Island Sound it comes around here. We're right here. So not directly facing the water.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
What's the height of the retaining wall? Just
Well, let's see. So, on what would be let me see. Let me try to zoom out a little bit again here. We got about 2.5 feet on the northeast side. We've got 3.5 feet on the north side of the property. We got a 1 foot retaining wall over here. It's 2 feet. So I think, we try to maintain some under 4, if I'm understanding correctly. Yeah. So it's not an overly high retaining wall.
Is the outdoor shower existing?
Let's see. I'm not sure if that was an existing shower. Sorry, I'm just trying to get oriented here. Which side was the shower on?
You could see it's opposite beach, so it's I'm not sure how you
Okay.
have this set up, but I would maybe north.
Yes, so that is a proposed outdoor shower with a gravel bed below.
Do we have to collect the water from the shower? There going to be a collection for that?
I believe the goal was to have the gravel bed serve as a dry well and serve as the primary collection point for the shower.
Yeah, everybody builds those, but nobody ever uses them, so I'm not really worried about the volume, the annual volume of runoff from that.
You have to wash the dog somewhere.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
you have to install neighborhood cams now.
Okay, well, I don't have any questions or objections at this point.
All right.
With the Caltex, it'll improve stormwater runoff. So I think we're good.
Excellent.
Depends on how long you take a shower for, but yeah.
We'll make sure there's plenty of stone underneath that shower.
Okay.
So again, Chris, we'll wait and take a vote once we know the formal
Yeah.
language. Okay.
Correct.
That's
All right.
Okay.
Very
I
good.
don't have any other questions.
Is that it, Chris?
yeah, that's it for the
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry for not getting here on time and having the problems, but I appreciate whoever opened the meeting. I suppose it was Chris.
yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
No worries. Thank you for your time.
All
everybody.
right.
We're all set.
Thank you, everybody.
your
Have a happy
time.
holiday.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice holiday. Okay, I have no report as chairman. We'll move into the reports. Bruce will not be here. He called me and I spoke to him. The only issue he was going to bring up was there was a boat on the veterans dock, thinking that the city was going to take care of that. And then he got a phone call from Hughes asking him if he could help. So he found out who the owner was. Took a little while. And apparently what they were doing was bringing tanks, he said, and some other paraphernalia to Tavern Island. And he wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but then he found the owner and told him, you have to leave. You can't do this. That's it. So he was able to get him off the docks. And I don't know what they did after that, but I'm paraphrasing what he said.
Was this the barge? Was this the barge?
Yeah, it was like a landing craft,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I mean, it looked for all purposes like a barge, right? And
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys probably have more details than I do, but I just wanted to, as part of his report, he was a little curious on why the city itself didn't take this on and correct the problem, but it's there.
Yeah, it's those ramps aren't really used for commercial use, so they were taking some heavy equipment as well out there. So Bruce did contact him as he stated, the harbor master, I should say, did, and corrected the issue. But there should be some signs or something that say not for commercial loading,
Commercial use.
unloading or something. Yeah,
Yes,
some terminology.
agreed. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll move along. I will wait for Jeff. I'm assuming he's going to be here around 7, but I don't know for sure. Shellfish Commission, Steve, are you available?
Hey, thanks, Dennis. Not much of a report tonight, other than that the Shellfish Commission voted for our half of the $1,648.65 for the harbor and shellfish boat enclosure. There was a discussion of the Save the Sound grades, and our permits have been approved, same prices as last year. They should go on sale at Fisherman's World by the middle of January. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Eat Norwalk shellfish.
Same to you, Steve. Thank you.
Same to you.
Hey, Steve, I do have one question. Are you going to have daily permits or anything?
We are not for 2023. We've
Okay.
waited for a number of years, but we decided for 2023 that we will not.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, guys.
Questions? Mooring and Harbor Safety has no report. Finance, Al? Yeah, I know you sent out the,
Sure. I sent out where we are, as far as I know, in December. I haven't had a much communication from the city hall for December. I put some items in red on there. There are things that I anticipate bills we will receive this year, and also I expect that our $24,000 for the 22-23 fiscal year should be in our account or to our credit this month. I've kind of been promised that. So that's where that is. There are two $5,000 items there that are in red. One is invoice from Jeff Stedman, which I have received, and I forwarded to you all just before the meeting. It's actually $4,500. The other $5,000 item or estimate is from our other consultant. The name escapes me, who's done work on the 95 bridge and all, we're trying to get an invoice out of him for payment, and I have not received that as yet, nor has Jeff. So we're trying to get that going. Hopefully we can get that going in this year somehow. I'd like to see it by the end of December, at least submitted to us. I had a meeting with Henry Dashwich, who's the CFO for the city, with regard to our ask for a city grant for the 23-24 fiscal year. We had a really very nice meeting there. He's personally very pleased with the work we're doing with the transit moorings and really the sort of trying to get people into the city of Norwalk and into the South Norwalk and all on an economic development basis. We for Jeff, we had a nice conversation about the fact that there are a number of unassessed private docks in the harbor, and he was very happy to hear that. And because this is the 10-year reval process where they really have to be, boots on the ground and go actually inspect the properties. They're really instructing the people doing the assessing to be looking for docks that need to be included in the grand list, which I think is a wonderful thing to see going on, that everybody be paying their fair share with private docks as well as commercial docks. So that was our meeting. I know it was fine. They approved our $20,000 ask for next year. It's not theirs to approve, but it will be recommended for the 23-24 fiscal year for us to receive the $20,000 city grant. The other piece I have is Jeff Stedman's invoice for $4,500. I reviewed it briefly, and I think it looks fine to me. And if we have a quorum, I'd like to get a vote on sending that along to City Hall for payment.
I'll make a motion to approve Jeff's invoice. I think it was April to June 2020.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank
Objection?
you. Discussion?
Anything? Okay, that's my my time.
Thank you, Al. Plans and recommendations, Jeff Mangles?
Okay, continuing with the slip fee negotiation, if you will. So we, on November 30th, Dennis, Alan, Jeff and I met with Recreation and Parks to discuss just that, among other topics, which included the slip fees, transient moorings, and where to have a dinghies tie up over at the city ramps. They said anywhere inside is fine. Also, we wanted to discuss about the emergency use of the city dock, the city transient, or the visitor dock, I should say, for emergency use. There was an issue where a boat was tied up, and we all know about that boat, that eventually became the city's, and we had to dispose of it. But there was some feedback on that they weren't really informed that was going to be there. So there was a communication breakdown. But now we have all the numbers and everybody that we need to contact, and I drew up a flow chart about what needs to be done. I also reached out to Deep before I finalize anything. I've reached out to Deep, who said that he was going to get back to me, and that it's sort of we have to be careful, because if we don't do things right, the vessel becomes yours, and then we know how that ended. So we're going to try to get a procedure with Deep's involvement as well, to iron all of that stuff out. So once that becomes available, then I'll finalize all of that. We also talked about a current vessel, which was tied up at the visitor dock. That was brought up to me by the harbor master. Wanted to know if he's actually paying or anything for that. He was, but now he's gone. That same person was the person who owned the abandoned vessel. Well, the vessel that we actually took ownership of. With our meeting with Mr. Stowers and Pam and Ken. So Mr. Stowers thought that maybe the finance department would be the correct department to go through. So he was going to pass the idea by them. I did follow up with him to see if there was any feedback or if there's any other information. And he said maybe Wednesday we can have a meeting. So I'm sure this Wednesday is fine. If we can have a meeting, that'd be fine. So that's really all I have right now.
Any questions of Jeff? Or Jeff? Okay, Jeff, thank you very much.
Sure.
We have a newsletter and website. Mike? I don't know if you have anything, but
Yeah, hey, everybody. I still owe kind of the relaunch of both the newsletter, the website, and then also Facebook page. I figured the beginning of 2023 might be a good time to do that. So apologies for being about a week or two behind on that. I'll definitely get that out. Also need to send just a quick one pager. Might be a little bit overkill here, but just a kind of lay of the land or rules of the road as far as what we will do communications wise, and just have everybody take a look at it and determine what's appropriate. So appreciate that. I also have been continuing to reach out to people, a few of you as well, but restaurant owners are great, oyster folks, a bunch of other people in the area about that Oyster Town USA and the Oyster Trail project that we really like to connect to some of the great stuff that Chris will be doing here. I don't have a formal plan. I ran into a couple roadblocks, nothing that's going to stop us. I want to be sure that when we have our next meeting, hopefully in January, I'll be able to present something to you all a little bit more ironed out. So as far as the communications is concerned, that's all I have. Again, open to any ideas and any feedback here. Thanks.
very good. Thanks, Mike. Water quality, Joe Sherline is unavailable tonight. You all received his report. And John, do you have anything to offer at this point? John Crispo?
No, everything that he spelled it out pretty good in that report that he sent out to everyone. Biggest thing is that we've been having some discussions on the Save the Sound report card, the latest one, in which again we got a bad mark for the Upper Harbor. We're trying to find out what the methodology is and see how is it that they got to this conclusion and try to justify it. The other issue that we've been talking about is the PFAS on this playing field that Norwalk is planning to build, and it just so happens that they want to use artificial turf in an area where close to one of our well fields. So we're concerned about. We think that some of the PFAS may leach out of the playing fields, and of course it'll percolate down to our water wells. So those are the main issues that we've been working on as of late.
Okay, any questions for John? The only thing I don't have to offer, and I'm sure you'll do this, is to make sure his report is attached to the minutes.
Of course.
Okay, I knew you would. So nothing else, John?
No, that's it.
We have any public comment? Anyone here for?
Dennis, before we go off committees, I'd like to update everybody on what's going on with the Amistad visit.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
we had a call with them on December 1st. So I think Mike was on it, right? Were you on it, Mike? Yeah, Jeff, Jeff couldn't. I think we have an update after. We had a representative from the Norwalk Public Schools. And then the folks both from the Amistad Navigation Education Program, as well as the director over there. So, and we had the Seaport Association call in on this one as well. So we are shooting for the middle of September for 2023 for the visit. That will coincide with the Oyster Festival. And they're very much supportive of that and enthusiastic for that. It sounds like they want to come like at least a full week before the Oyster Festival. I wasn't quite sure what they'd planned for their navigation schedule. The fee for the visit will be $15,000. So that's going to be something we need to work on. They will charge the public schools for their educational program. That comes off of that. I'm not sure how much that's going to be. We didn't talk numbers with the Seaport Association. I think they thought we were going to try to stick them with the whole thing, and they hemmed and hawed a lot. And then I was like, no. I mentioned that we'd put a couple thousand in our budget for educational programs, and that this is we expect some help from them, but it's not the full ticket's not going to be on them. This means that we will have to go look for some corporate sponsorship for this, and that's certainly something I don't have much experience with. I mean, what they said they would make themselves available in terms of grant writing. They certainly know how to sell their program and their all the messages that come with the Amistad, so they're used to the write-up for that. So I guess if it'll be up to us to identify, I don't know, places I suppose like Stu Leonard's or I don't know what Diageo or other local business, Norwalk-based businesses we might approach. That's a whole nother discussion. Please think about whether you know of or know anybody personally, or have any experience with corporate grant writing, corporate giving kind of thing. We have time to do this, but I don't know when those type of companies allocate their the funds that they've set aside in any given year. So that's that's going to be an effort. On the navigation side, I talked to Gary Wetmore of GNC Marine about what about using his barges, using a barge of his, and he was very enthusiastic and sounds like he's going to help us and be very generous with that. I'm not going to commit him in this forum to what he's actually going to do, but I think he'll be quite generous with us. He has he has 3 different sized barges. Apparently he was, and it sounded like this was years ago, if not like over a decade ago, the last time they brought a tall ship in, and they used his barges or a section of dock that he had, because he's the guy who builds most of the docks in town. So he said we'll definitely be able to figure something out. Probably his 14 by 40 foot barge will be sufficient. That'll push the keel of the boat at 25 feet off the dock itself. We'll have to lay it out. We will probably have to notify the Coast Guard. I don't know if there'll be an actual permission to be granted by the Coast Guard, but we'll certainly work with them once we've figured that out. The Amistad is going to be in Stamford in April, so I think that'll be a good time to go see how they set up the dockage and all that. And and just anecdotally, they told me that they raised $20,000 or over $20,000 in Stamford for that visit. They said the companies were very, very, very willing to be tied to this effort. It ticks a lot of the right boxes and for things going on today. So social justice and all that. So
Chris, did the Amistad do their fundraising in Stamford to get their $20,000?
well, I think the host city does the fundraising themselves. but they certainly have, they have the verbiage for the grants about, what they are and what they're selling. I don't know how much, I don't know if they put them in touch with, corporations. I mean, certainly Stanford's quite corporate rich, in terms of that. So I can imagine that's a, fertile for fundraising. But so I think it's still on the host city to do it. Yeah. Oh, so then the other aspect is the docket, is the city dock itself. So I wasn't aware of this, but the city dock is turned over to the Seaport Association for the duration of the festival, so the 4 or 5 days that's on, or maybe it's just 3 or 4 days. Because they gate off the entire park for admission. So in terms of the festival days, they're in charge, they're in charge of the dock. They're, they would collect any fees for anybody coming and going. But we will have to have an agreement with Parks Department about the time before and after the festival. It's an 80-foot boat. It will pretty much dominate probably the south finger, with an accompanying barge. So it will impact usage of the dock for a week or two on each side of the festival. So that's a conversation we need to have. But otherwise, everybody is on board and everybody's very enthusiastic about this project. Yeah, Jeff.
Well, just on your point about approval from the Coast Guard, when I forget what year it was, but when there was a tall ship there during the festival, which extended into the federal channel, we did need some sort of approval from the Coast Guard, and there was a published notice to mariners because of the encroachment in the channel. And then there was another example, John, remember the art barge that was there? And I believe that extended into the channel as well.
I think they were on the north dock, I think, Jeff. One of the vessels is on the north dock.
But in any event, when the tall ship was there, we needed specific approval from the Coast Guard, because anybody transiting the channel has, as the Corps of Engineers said, has the expectation that there'll be no encroachments in it. And if there was an accident, including with a barge going upstream, then, well, anyway, so you know that.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's precedent for that being granted, but there's certainly steps to be taken to make it, approved and official.
Chris, do you know if the Amistad they have spuds?
I don't believe they have spuds.
They don't use spuds? Okay. No, because that art barge that was there had used spuds.
Yes, I think that Gary has spuds on some of his barges. I think one time he said he even did a temporary pile, which he said which he had to go to DEEP to get approval for, and he said he probably didn't want to do that again. Whether the barge can be use spuds or just be roped docked directly on our dock, and then the Amistad from there, and what we'll need in terms of ramps and steps and anything else to get from the visitors dock to the barge, from the barge to the deck of the Amistad. I mean, there's a lot of there's details there, but I think when they come in, when they're in Stanford, we'll certainly be able to see their arrangements and all. And not sure whether the 80 feet includes bowsprit and all that kind of good stuff. We'd have to leave the launch alleys open the whole time. That wouldn't, but I think there's plenty of room there. We have to get permission to use, but I think that it'll work. All right, and there's nothing to report on the street ends. Jeff had sent out an email to some of us that basically we got left off the agenda for the Port Authority meeting. So no money has been allocated as yet, but that doesn't. It's not bad news. It's just not now, right? I mean, Jeff.
Well, the bond commission had a special meeting on December 8th, at which time it was expected to allocate the funds, not just for our relatively small project, but for larger, there were 10 different SHIP grants, including one that was over $1 million. So that money was the Port Authority submitted its request to the Bond Commission for the allocation of those funds, which are authorized by the legislature, because the Port Authority is authorized to spend up to $5 million a year on these small harbor projects. But the request of the Port Authority was not put on the Bond Commission agenda. And I think some of you know that there are some issues that the Port Authority is going through, including cost overruns at the state pier. So whether that had something to do with it or not, we don't know. But fellow from another harbor commission was quite upset about it, because in that particular town had spent a lot of money on engineering and permitting to be ready to get a substantial grant. But he was told that that may be put on the agenda in January. So that's all we know about that, about the status of that now.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, Jeff, to be involved with the Port Authority right now,
Well,
other than the investigation they're under.
but the small grant program is a beneficial program, and
Yes, no, I realize that.
we had argued for that, because when the Port Authority was established, it eliminated the DOT's Maritime Division. And
Right.
The Maritime Division had a program to provide, the Bond Commission allocated funds to the small harbors. So our argument was, if the Port Authority was to eliminate the DOT Maritime Division and only be concerned with the large ports, and we didn't realize it was only concerned with the state pier, then the small harbors would lose out. So we spent months, better part of a year, John, arguing for legislation that would include this program.
So fortunately, we went out, I was just gonna say.
And the legislature has authorized the money, but it has to be allocated by the Bond Commission.
Mm.
So how do we make sure that we're on the Port Authority's list of recipients, potential recipients?
Well, our application was along with the applications from 8 or 7 other towns, a total of 10 projects were approved by the Port Authority. So we went through a competitive process. The Port Authority approved our grant application, just as they did some years ago for almost $1 million for the Visitors Dock project. That was an application that we put together, but it has.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I
if they get the
misunderstood. I
money,
thought.
The Bond
that
Commission
Chris-
has to allocate it, and the
We're still on the
governor,
dock.
the governor sets the agenda for the Bond Commission meeting.
So we're still on
Okay,
the
I thought-
agenda, yeah.
I thought Chris had mentioned that we had inadvertently been left off the Port Authority agenda, in turn.
Oh,
but
sorry. Yeah, I
guess-
misspoke. Yeah, it was the Port Authority got left off the Bond Commission agenda.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I misspoke.
We're
yeah.
still on their agenda, so they have to hopefully make good on that.
Right.
And then the other part of this too is the importance of continuing this grant program, because we're proceeding with the understanding that the work on the Veterans Park Marina project, the rebuilding of that marina, is a project that's fundable through this grant program. There will be a 20% city cost share, but we were anticipating that 80% of the cost of that could be provided by the Connecticut Port, but through this grant program.
Yeah.
And we have a good shot at that because we're on
Yeah.
a very good
You know,
shot.
I mean, I think the DPW and the Parks Department put that out without any thought to Port Authority money. We brought that to their attention, which of course they're thrilled about if it cost them 20 cents on the dollar. But and certainly and I think Race's plans are probably a little pricier than they had anticipated. But I mean, they weren't counting on it, and maybe they're counting on it now, which would.
Yes, and if the permit was in hand to do that work, we would have applied for that money this
Right.
round.
Yeah.
But we don't have the permit yet.
I haven't heard anything more about that the design advancing.
Well, we
They came to us last month. What am I saying? Yeah, that's all I know.
yes, because they have approval from the Corps of Engineers to move forward with the permit application.
Right.
Because it's a public project and they're not, even though it's in the federal anchorage, they're not extending the footprint of the project, and it's for the public. So now our understanding is they're preparing the applications to submit.
Right.
So,
Okay, you're all set, Chris?
Well, there's one, as long as we're talking grants and all this kind of good stuff. in November, I don't know if this was after our meeting, I came across this boating infrastructure grant program. I was looking at, this was in the Connecticut Boaters Guide. I'm trying to get my safe boating license sorted out. But anyways, so there's a grant program for, that is dock specific for bringing in, I think it's supposed to be geared towards medium-sized boats, sort of 36 foot or something. Infrastructure for those, which is exactly what we're trying to do with our visitors moorings. Transient moorings. I mean, so we've got money to start that, but I think, one of the ideas we had, and it would be to put some pontoons out there. So if we, for example, put a 60 or 80 or 90 foot pontoon out there, you could possibly get 6 boats on that, 2 on each side, and it would be a free floating pontoon. People would still have to get in their dinghy and come ashore, but it solves the problem of having to do a full swing mooring, which certainly the north end of our South Anchorage, the part closest to Veterans Park, it's a very acute angle there of the federal anchorage. So it's a narrow, it comes to a narrow triangular point, which maybe you can get a couple of moorings in if they're on a full swing. But if you put a floating dock in there that you could raft up on, you could dock to on either side, however long you think you wanted to do it. And it's user friendly. It's yeah.
How is that different from what Jeff's been working on with the dock
G-Flex
systems to put in for right there?
Well, yeah, I think we, like I said, that it's an idea we have been talking about, and I think that's something that's specifically we could have funded under this program. It's, I think, Jeff, you're just looking at transient moorings now, right? Or what we funded so far.
We were talking with the Recreation and Parks about putting in floating, I guess you call them pontoons, that were floating docks that were anchored out in the harbor, so we could get 4 or 6 boats per anchored.
Yeah, over on the East Basin, we were talking about that as well.
Yeah. Well, and that, that's certainly going to be a lot more than we have in our budget. Those docks are gonna be tens of thousands of dollars each.
Yeah, we need grants to pursue all that.
Well, and this,
I think the step to that is to get a bunch of transient moorings, just full swing moorings going, and get some revenue and some buzz, and just grow the program from there. I think.
Well, if we apply for this grant next year, if we get some sketches together, apply for this grant next year, and then hire somebody to build them. We're not floating these things until 2024. So I don't think it's too early to start, trying to get this grant, and maybe it takes us 2 shots to get it right. We've had some success with it. So, I think this is, 2023 is moorings. And if that, that goes well, and like you said, we get some buzz on it and people know that it's Norwalk's back in business, that I don't think there's any reason to wait for this, Jeff, you want to?
I just want, for looking back at history, we did apply for a grant and received a grant through that BIG program a number of years ago, and it was for helical moorings for visitors, and they were installed south of the visitors dock. And then unfortunately, when the Cashman Dredging did the harbor dredging project, the moorings were no longer there. So made the mistake of not removing them.
Right.
And now we also have the issue, if that's an ideal place to think about placement of moorings, is that the DEEP has approved the Department of Transportation's plan to use that area for mooring during the course of the Walk Bridge project for work boats. Well, that's something that we're still trying to rectify, address, but But I think it's a good idea to apply, to apply for that grant program, but we'll need a place to put them. And we also have the issue of the DOT using up most of the federal South Anchorage now for the duration of the project, not just with work boats, but with the large barges.
Well, that's first come, first serve is my attitude towards that. If we get our docks in there, then, then I think we have squatters' rights on that area. I don't think we, I don't know.
It's just something we're still working on with the
Sure.
Corps of Engineers and the Coast Guard, so.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if
I
we-
mean, and all along we've tried to, assert the harbor master's authority to
That's right.
authorize the placement of vessels in the harbor.
Yes,
And that would certainly be the, so yeah, I just want to bring that up. And before we go to the public, Dennis and Jeff and John, when we had quite enough, we had, 4 different applicants and 6 different applications tonight. And they were quite a variety of things. And I know we use slightly different language on different things. So we held off on voting during the application meeting. Plus I guess we did have quorum. We were at 5, I think, at that point, but we should do the approval so that it's on the books for all the applicants for this meeting. So if I might, the South Main application, the hotel expansion, and we didn't have any problems with any of the applications.
Yeah, I saw that, Chris. I didn't think there was going to be a major problem. The only thing they have is a drainage and the parking lot issue. That was the only
Right,
thing.
they parking lot, they'll have oil,
That's all
water.
taken care
separators and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, all of the applications we didn't have any objection to.
Right.
So the South Main is a CAM application.
That's right.
So is that something we just say that's consistent with the harbor management plan? Okay, yes. So for that one, I make a motion that the South Main,
Which, the South Main Street, that was at the Suchi's,
that was such a 3135
Yeah.
South Main,
It's a hotel.
his hotel, right?
right? What's your, Jeff?
if there's a discussion, I just might interject myself, though, with those sorts of CAM applications, our approach has been if we don't think that there's any impact on the harbor management or any impact on the harbor by the project, then the response is just to say no objection.
No
But if
objection.
we think that the project is creating an improvement, a substantial improvement, such as improving stormwater conditions on the site,
Yeah,
then we can say it is consistent with the plan because it's creating a
I have the language. for
benefit.
this, Jeff.
yeah, I mean, there's a marginal improvement in the footprint of impermeability.
No, I have the language for that, Chris. We have
Sure.
that all set up. So
Okay,
that one, okay, hold on.
question of whether to say no objection or to say it's consistent with the plan. And I'm sorry that I wasn't here earlier to
Yeah.
to hear that.
No, I know, I saw that one, no? And, okay,
We have a motion,
well,
say that.
Which route are we gonna take?
no, it's no objection. No
okay,
objection.
Right.
so then I make a motion that there's no objection to the 3135 South Main application.
And
Same application.
they do have an improvement to maintaining, sort of water quality. So I have a paragraph and a statement for those
Okay,
sections, yeah.
all right.
Is
So
there a second?
Second,
I'll second that, yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Abstentions? Against? Okay, motion carries. Go ahead.
So the next one was Old Saugatuck Ave.
Great.
Let me get to the numbers.
That was, there were 2 items there, which I didn't realize.
Right.
When they originally sent that over, they just sent a wall. So I called them up. I said, Tom, there's got to be more to this than that. Well, did you get the other? I said, no, I didn't get the other one. So he sent over that 440 dock and the wall with the DEP wanted him to put separately.
Right. So 121 Old Saugatuck Ave, the walls of COP. And the other, the dock, which is a fairly simple dock structure with strong arms,
Yes.
No pilings, I believe, is of just a 440 application. So we didn't have any, and that was a notice, 440 doc, right?
Yes.
So we didn't have any objections or findings on any of those.
A couple of them are going to be using, I think, waterward barges, I think, one of them does.
This is way up the creek, so I don't think they're,
Oh, wait, no, what am I thinking? Oh, no, it wasn't that one. Okay.
no.
Right. No, I remember. Okay.
Yeah, both of dock ones on this. Yeah, so it's the Old Saugatuck Island, it's way up the creek above Campfield Island.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right.
So it's really a kayak dock, and you're not gonna get much anything up there. So it's a dock on strong arms. It'll sit on the bottom on floats at low tide. But so then the wall was a COP. They're reconstructing a stone portion of a stone wall. And it's, the guys are just gonna have to go out at low tide and work, and when the tide comes up, they, take a siesta. So is a COP no objection or consistent?
Jeff, do you have something to say?
I think that in this instance, the plan supports the timely repair and as necessary of shore protection structures as necessary to protect existing development if it's done in a environmentally sound way. So our approach to this, as long as it's not a violation or it doesn't extend the footprint, would be to say this is consistent with the plan, and then have a recommendation that the approval should include from DEEP best management practices to ensure that during the construction work, there's no adverse impacts on the harbor.
We'll put something together. As I said, we have,
That would be consistent with the harbor management plan.
Right.
And similar for the 440 dock? Is that a consistent issue?
Because you support recreational boating access. Again, if it doesn't interfere with anybody else's rights or create an environmental problem, then that would be consistent with the plan too.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that both the 121 Old Saugatuck Ave applications, the 440 dock and the wall repair COP are consistent with the harbor management plan.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
No, favorite, yeah.
Yeah. Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Yep. The next one was 65 Roten Ave on Farm Creek.
Right.
It's very similar, at least in scope, though the wall was much more, the construction's a bit more intensive on this one. So same thing, that they're doing the entire seawall at their property, which is a soldier pile and timber lagging wall. The wall's a little bit irregular now. They're gonna straighten out the wall a little bit plus, a little bit minus in terms of waterward side, but it looked like it was
leaning quite a bit.
There was a leaning part, and then it wasn't. It was slightly angled, so they're straightening it out.
At first, I thought they were going to put a bulkhead there, but they're gonna reconstruct that wall.
They're not going outside, so they're gonna have to do it in segmentally so that they only remove part of the old. Did they say it was sheet piling? I forget what the old wall was, sheet piling, and now they're going to do soldier pile and timber lagging is where you drive H piles down, and then you drop wood down in the slots between the I-beams. And then they're going to add a dock that a 440 dock, two pilings for the pier, which is adjacent to the new wall, and then the ramp, instead of going perpendicular to the wall, actually turns and goes parallel to the wall. So it stays up close. The whole structure, the whole assembly stays close to the wall. So
this is Landtex. This is Landtex application.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a small float with a small dock on floats The wall definitely looked like it needed to be repaired. There was definitely some subsidence behind it, so the whole thing is a bit of a mess. You don't want all that just washing out into the creek at some point. You never get that material back. And then there was another small, and they're converting part of what was, a lawn that often flooded and couldn't grow anything decent into some kind of seagrass. So they said deep was certainly in favor of that, and then an upland wall repair, a stone wall repair. So for 65 Roten Ave, I make a motion that their seawall COP, their wall reconstruction COP, and the 440 dock application COP are consistent.
Kevin Savoy was involved in that. I guess this is an after the fact. This is an after the fact permit.
This?
No,
No, I don't
No,
think
this
so.
hasn't been done yet.
John
it-
Hills.
They
Yeah, it's
attached,
John Hiltz. I don't think
Yeah,
it's
John
Land
Hiltz.
Tech.
they attached,
Okay, all right. Oh, okay, no, I'm getting, that's right. No, that's I think it's the next project. Okay, all right.
yeah, I mean, the application I was curious whether this old wall was permitted or not. And they had a COP from 25 years ago where they reconstructed part of the wall then. So the wall's been a perennial. I mean, 25 years is bad, but it's not great for a retaining wall. But anyway, so I make the motion that we find these two applications consistent with our management plan.
We have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Yeah, okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next one, Chris?
Yeah, the last one was 17 East Beach Ave. That's near East Beach in Belle Isle. Not a shorefront property. I think it's catty corner or something from the actual water, but it's three sides with road frontage. I guess it's a low property, so there's an addition, but they're also raising the existing the first floor of the existing house to be out of the flood zone.
Yeah, they have to bring in FEMA compliance.
So yeah, for FEMA compliance, exactly. And I guess it wasn't completely, they're putting in a Cultec system for the addition roofs. And I don't know if it wasn't really clear whether they were going to be collecting part of the existing house, the leaders from the existing house, probably at least some of it. So there's an improvement in the stormwater runoff, and otherwise a few garden walls around the edge of the property, but again, that's not waterfront. So what type of application was this? I've forgotten.
It was a CAM application.
That's right, it's a CAM application. So I make a motion that the CAM application is consistent with the harbor management plan because it improves the stormwater runoff for the property.
Yeah, we have language for that as well, Chris.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll make that motion.
Yeah, the first and the fourth were CAM applications.
Right.
We have a second?
Yeah,
I'll second.
second that, yeah.
Jeff Mangles. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excellent.
We'll
All right, that's all the
get-
harbor manager, that's all the application committee.
All right, we'll get those applications out.
Great.
Okay, going back to reports, Jeff, do you want to jump in? Back at reports at this point.
No, the report that we just talked about the ship grants and the status of those and the Connecticut Port Authority. But I guess at the risk of being repetitive at every meeting, that I believe the biggest issue that we face is the case that emanated in Greenwich with the dock and involves Harbor Management Commission authority. And so as you know, that the Superior Court ruled that harbor commissions have in effect no authority to review and comment on deep applications, such as the ones we're looking at tonight, and that the recommendations of the Harbor Management Commission are no different than the recommendations of the general public. And the clear example of the impact of that is after all the work we did for 7 years on the Walk Bridge project, the hearing officer essentially dismissed our comments as saying that the Harbor Commission has no special standing, and referenced that the Superior Court pursuant to that case. It's called Cohen versus Deep. And so we also know that after the Superior Court case decision, the town of Greenwich, acting for the Harbor Management Commission, appealed that decision to the appellate court. And the appellate court upheld the Superior Court decision. And then the town of Greenwich, on behalf of the Harbor Management Commission there, submitted a petition to the Connecticut Supreme Court to hear, to review and hear the town's concerns about the appellate court decision. And that petition was denied with just a simple statement saying that the petition is denied. So the impact that has on harbor management commissions is really substantial. And the best example is what's happened with the hearing officer in the Walk Bridge project. So now what's the remedy to deal with this? And so this is a topic that's being discussed in other towns. And I think that John, through the Harbor Management Association, we're trying to convene a meeting of representatives of all the towns. But it seems like the only remedy now, or the remedy to pursue, is a legislative remedy, which would make a change to the State Harbor Management Act to clarify the long-standing principle that harbor commissions have authority to review applications for deep permits.
Yeah, that's basically the only recourse that we have right now,
Yeah,
Jeff.
so this is being discussed in the other towns, Stamford and Fairfield and Stratford and New London. So the question is, how do we go about pursuing this legislative?
Well, you know, Jeff, we have no champion in this area.
Well, but maybe there's someone in another town. And
We have to
talk
find someone in
about it.
another town, because I know, in all deference to Bob Duff, Bob Duff has never came to our assistance.
This is significant enough, but anyway, the other day, I was listening to a meeting of another group that's proposing an environmental change to the statute, not related to this topic, but they were talking about their procedure was to file a placeholder. The legislature begins its session in the beginning of January, but this group was pursuing the process of filing a placeholder, which is not the actual legislation or proposal, but it's a statement that they intend to do this on this particular topic. And I don't understand all that's involved with that. But I do know, for example, today's Wednesday, Monday night, the chair of the Fairfield Harbor Commission met with the representative town meeting in Fairfield and talked about this and other things, and also talked about it with the first select woman in Fairfield for the purpose of, and then the next step is to meet with Fairfield's legislators. So
Jeff, we tried to go the same route too with our own corporate counsel, and they did not want to get involved.
Well, I think it's really a shame that this has happened, and how we proceed with this. But what we're doing, I say we, the other towns, is to prepare a one-page summary of this issue and what it means, and then attached to that are the decisions. And we've also several years, well, at the beginning, a couple years ago, we drafted a proposed legislation, which is not doing anything other than what DEEP has already approved in harbor management plans. So I don't know. I don't have any solution for, not that it's up to me to make a solution, but I don't have anything to suggest that other than we're trying to work on this.
Steve,
Jeff, do you think when you make that letter that you might include some history with respect to the commission and what we've approved and something that's sounds pretty good and needs to be?
Oh, yes. Yes, see, we have a lot of the background, but when we talked about it with a few legislators, they said no one's going to read all this stuff at the outset.
Well, it's got to be quick and
they need to have a one-page summary, and then they can go to the other stuff when they want to.
They don't want to read a tome, not at all.
So what?
Just a couple sentences or something that we can.
Let me ask this: what What's DEP's position on this? Do they want us involved? Are they glad that they don't have to listen to us?
Well, again, I'm talking too much maybe and going on, but deep, and I, this is recorded, and I'll say what I believe is they reneged on what they agreed to in the Greenwich Harbor Management Plan. And what happened in Greenwich was that an applicant applied for a dock, but to avoid the town's zoning regulations that say a dock must be an accessory use on a piece of property. In other words, you have another major site use. This particular property was not big enough to have another site use. So the applicant cleverly designed the dock that didn't attach to the land. It began a little bit seaward, waterward of the land in the marsh. So therefore, the zoning regulations didn't apply. So when the Harbor Commission reviewed that, their comment was that the Greenwich Harbor Commission couldn't make a finding without knowing what DEEP's policy is with regard to docks that don't attach to the land. DEEP didn't address that and approved the dock. A neighbor who was aggrieved by the dock challenged DEEP in court, and among other things said that that DEEP didn't consider the Harbor Management Commission's recommendations or comment. DEEP then, though, to defend itself, and of course, you can say this is my opinion, but it's written, to defend itself in this case, argued that they didn't have to respond to the commission's comments because the Harbor Management Plan in Greenwich had no policy specific to docks that don't attach to the land. And then you get back into this discussion of whether a Harbor Management Plan should include an answer to every problem that might arise, which is illogical and nonsensical. So when the town of Greenwich went through its process of preparing and its Harbor Management Plan, there was a long negotiation process with DEEP as to what weight DEEP would give to a recommendation of the Harbor Management Commission relative to a recommendation that's spelled out ahead of time in the Harbor Management Plan. And so the approved Greenwich Harbor Management Plan, DEEP recognized that what is binding on DEEP is a recommendation of the Harbor Management Commission that's based on the policies of the plan. Now that's distinct from a recommendation of the plan that you figure out an answer ahead of time. But DEEP agreed to that in the Greenwich Plan. And in effect, it's not really binding because it's binding unless DEEP shows cause why it should do something different. And it was always that the state authority doesn't go away, but in effect, the commission's recommendations have special weight. And if DEEP does something different, they have to explain themselves. That was what was approved in the Greenwich Harbor Management Plan, but that was not, DEEP did not, that was lost in the court case, even though Greenwich argued for it. And DEEP argued that it didn't have to. And then the judge went even further to say there's nothing in the state statute that even authorizes the Harbor Management Commissions in the first place to review applications for DEEP permits. And he said that in part because there is a section in the statute that specifically applies to land use approvals that have to be referred to the commission, but there was no companion statute having to do with review of DEEP applications. And further to the sort of nonsensical part of this, and excuse my crude language, is that the DEEP permit process now requires an applicant to come before the Harbor Commission with the pre-application consultation form. So DEEP's own process envisions a role for the Harbor Management Commission. But again, the clear impact of this is the best example is the hearing officer's response to our recommendations with the Walk Bridge project. We have no special standing, and the comments are treated just the same as public comments. And I think we could also say it's nonsensical that the commission or the hearing officer made the statement that the Harbor Management Plan includes no recommendations for how water quality should be addressed with respect to the Walk Bridge project, which of course we had no idea. To think that we'd have something in the plan specific to the replacement of the Walk Bridge, some years ago, makes no sense. But there's numerous policies having to do with protecting water quality and navigation.
These are the types of legislators we're dealing with, Jeff. We're dealing with people that have quite a few brain cells that can rub together, as far as I'm concerned. It's terrible, Jeff. It really, really is. The contradiction of terms and the contradiction of what the DEP has done over the years has been
Well, but let's make this, maybe something positive can come out of this if we achieve
Jeff,
an
every
adjustment.
time the DEP changed hands with a new director, everyone started to make up their own policies.
Mm.
And every time we met with some, all of a sudden the policies change. And well, how come this is what we're reading? I read English and I understand English. This is not what it says, but yet they make their own interpretation. This is what's disturbing.
John and Jeff, sorry, it looks like Steve, I really hate to, you've had
Yes.
your hand up for a while. I hate to jump in ahead of you. If you would go, sorry to interrupt, guys. I have just a quick thing about the legislative outreach after Steve does his thing here.
No, go ahead, Mike. I'll go after you. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, and again, John and Jeff really didn't want to interrupt here. I've been here for about 6 months, so I don't have the legislative history. I don't have the outreach kind of legacy that you guys have. Have we brought this to the Senate Majority Leader? Have we brought it to our representatives? We had 2 representatives obviously coming into this upcoming session. Have we brought this particular issue to them in the last couple sessions? Or is this kind of just based on other issues?
That's good. We have not brought this to their attention. And remember, this case has just been resolved. We were waiting in part until the judicial or the litigation ran its course. So it was just at the beginning of December that the Supreme Court made its determination that it would not take this any further. So now we're moving forward, and the first thing we have to do is we do have to approach John Norwalk's delegation, but we finish this 1-page summary of the issue. And then
I would really like to help with that. I think,
Thank
Jeff,
you.
we can take your, you have a fantastic knowledge base. You could go on for a long time about this. I'm really good at dumbing it down. So perhaps we could work together and get a half-page, a 1-pager that is maybe a little more acceptable here in front of a new legislative session. We have 2 members, obviously, that just were elected, neither of which will be on the environmental or energy committees. I think both of them are education, but I do, call me an optimist here, but I think it's worthwhile going to our new House members and approaching the Senate Majority Leader another time with this. And then you can,
We
can tell me I'm wrong.
can certainly give that a try, Mike. As I said, we haven't had good success with that in the past, with approaches that we've made, but perhaps this might be a new twist.
But let's be optimistic.
Yeah, I understand that.
Thank you, Mike. The argument seems to be so simple, and it doesn't eliminate the DEP
authority,
approval authority. It just means that if they take an action different than the Harbor Commission recommends, they have to explain why they do it. And but so before the end of the year, we'll have this 1-page summary, Mike, that we can share with everyone.
Okay.
And then we'll see how best to proceed.
Great. Well,
That
Jeff,
would be great if we could push this forward.
I'll reach out to you offline about this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, I talked too much, I guess, but
No, you didn't.
Steve has his hand up.
John Pinto, do you have anything to bring up?
No, we're fine. As I said, that we have to push forward with this, Dennis.
Not particularly this issue, just anything.
Oh, no. But this issue is prime as far as I'm concerned, because it really sticks a knife right in the whole matter of what we've stood for over the past 25 years or so as the commission's been in existence.
Interestingly, the town of
undermines
Greenwich made the argument in court with the appellate court that this doesn't just affect Greenwich.
No.
It affects the 27
from Stonington to Greenwich, every harbor management commission.
And
we've seen letters back to them.
apparently that argument didn't go over very well with the appellate court, that they were taught, they were said that they had to focus on the issue that was before them, which was the dock in.
This is short-sightedness. What can I say? I can't help you.
All right, thank you.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, John. So it's my understanding, speaking of the state Senate, that the legislative intent here was quite clear historically. And there were comments made by Senator Gunther, the late Senator Gunther, in that regard. And I'm just wondering if in fact these data might be included in this letter.
Yes, and actually the town of Greenwich included the legislative history of the Harbor Management Act in their appeal to the appellate court.
Well, we have
And-
that also in our letter, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, and I know maybe I'm repeating myself, so tell me to be quiet, but the harbor management program in Connecticut started in Norwalk, as you know. And that started with the Corps of Engineers dredging project, I believe it was 1980, in the East Norwalk Basin, when the Corps' contractor arrived and found that the docks along the east sides had been built into the channel. And so for the first time, that the Corps had been trying to deal with this for some time, not just in here, but in other towns throughout New England. And the Corps at that time, we became friends with the attorney at the Corps. They made an effort to enforce their policies through the attorney generals in the different states. So they took action against the violators in East Norwalk, including Vantage Point and Overton's and some of the others. And some of the violators voluntarily moved back away from the channel. But at that time, what the Corps enforcement guy, was another guy we became friends with, he had the idea and promoted it that if there were municipal agencies that had responsibilities for these sorts of things, maybe these issues could be headed off before they became such conflicts. And so he influenced Senator Gunther, the longest serving legislator in Connecticut history, who introduced the Harbor Management Act. And in his statements and other statements, and Norwalk supported that. I forget, was it, Joe Tamsky was the planning director then. So the legislative history includes the testimony from Norwalk, but it was clearly the intent was to increase local authority relative to the DEEP.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'll stop. The
And
history,
it worked, Jeff, it worked for quite some time. It worked for quite some time. We had a good rapport with the DEP, and things got done in the manner in which that they had proposed.
but
They
you
did
remember-
respond. That if they found a matter to the contrary, they did respond to us. But all of a sudden, it stopped. It stopped.
Well, I would argue it's because they were DEEP had to defend itself in that case in Greenwich that did not have their
I
dock
think
permit.
it stopped before that,
overturned.
Jeff. It stopped before that. We weren't getting the type of cooperation, and there was, we asked them, well, what was the reason for that? We never got a response from them, because we made several recommendations in which docks were put into place that got washed away based on the DEP's okay, it's okay to put a dock there. If you recall, at several locations. Anyway, all right, but we can go on. But
Yeah, thanks for the time to talk about it. It's quite interesting.
But Dennis, there's one of our attendees Linnell Jones has her hand up for a while.
I was just going to go to public comment. Amelia, do we have someone from public comment? Amelia?
Sorry about that. So public comment, we have one hand raised. I'm going to allow Linnell to speak.
Good evening. My name is Linnell Jones. I've lived in Wilson Point since 1986. For many years, I've identified and sought compliance for water quality, stormwater, and land use violations within Wilson Point and at the private Norwalk Yacht Club. Thank you for this opportunity to make a public comment and ask this question. Does the Norwalk Harbor Commission believe there is a pre-clearance process, a process not requiring any plans, any meetings, whereby tidal wetlands can be filled, and in a coastal flood zone, hundreds of feet of new drainage from lawns and roads can be added, along with new storm drains and outflow pipes to Long Island Sound without any review? Is this in line with the Norwalk Harbor Management Plan? Following my May 2021 request for a site plan review presentation and listening to months of endless kill the messenger garbage, I restated my concerns in a January 2022 Clean Water Act presentation. An engineer checked my work and city drainage codes. The March 2022 presentation, full disclosure, points out the filling of tidal wetlands between 2 and 2.5 Nathan Hale redirected stormwater and high tides, creating a bigger problem along Nathan Hale Drive. This residential road has both protected tidal and inland wetlands, is smack in the middle of a coastal flood zone, and is the home of the Norwalk Yacht Club. In March of 2022, after asking for weeks for the city to post the required stormwater management plan, I submitted a public comment with my question about the pre-clearance process, because our MS4 permit requires legal review of illegal drainage. If a permit was required, this was illegal drainage. To my knowledge, no legal review has ever been done. So I ask this commission to ask the Norwalk Legal Department, our corporate counsel, who according to the Harbor Management Plan is responsible for supporting you, how can a pre-clearance process exist in a coastal flood zone given coastal regulations? There is no question the Wilson Point Board gave its permission to fill and add drainage outflow pipes to Wilson Point property on tidal wetlands. Minutes are clear records. I owned the tidal pond and 2.5 Nathan Hale Drive, the abutting property, for a decade, and know that the tidal wetland swale served an important stormwater drainage need. This is why I continue to speak out and ask questions. Save the Sound visited, explain the purpose of the tidal pond, and how and why filling the wetlands created bigger problems. My questioning hasn't been without serious harassment from Wilson Point, but I continue to question, and again, thank you for this opportunity to speak and ask if you, the Harbor Management Commission, believes in a pre-clearance process. FYI, Connecticut Deep Enforcement recently let the vice president of the Wilson Point Board know their dock, in existence for years, requires a permit, something the Wilson Point Board was informed of in 2017, about when they ceased getting permits for drainage work and inland and tidal wetland work. Also, it was mentioned at the last Shellfish Commission meeting, following visiting the Norwalk Yacht Club, deep found violations, something the Commodore Ramsey and Attorney Blank vehemently denied was possible. Most likely, testing for bacteria and chemicals will be required going forward. Real issues continue to exist, serious issues affecting water quality. Thank you for letting me know if you, the Norwalk Harbor Commission, think the pre-clearance process followed by the Wilson Point Board was legit. Happy holidays, and please send my very best wishes to Pete Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you. And any comments from the commission?
Dennis,
We have no more public comments.
a few years back, we were talking about, maybe about 2 years ago, talking about doing some water quality testing in there. Maybe Steve can refresh my memory. You know, we were going to have the DEP come in and just measure water quality, what the extent of what the problem is, if there is a problem. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if that was completed.
I can answer that, John. And in full disclosure, I live on Wilson Point.
Yes.
So I'm just reporting facts. Joe Schneiderlein reported our last meeting that the waters in Wilson Point, we can go back to the minutes, but had tested fine. And tests have been done and the issues are upstream of that. You can go back to the minutes and Joe would be able to answer that question.
Lord, who did the
There was testing.
who did
It was Dick, I'm not sure.
was
I'm
it,
not sure.
oh, it wasn't Dick Harris, his group. Harbor, or well.
I don't know.
Because I know there was an issue where I guess someone on Wilson Point took offense of us going on their property and checking the water. We weren't going to plan. Plan was not to go on their property, but to measure the water quality from waterward. If I recall correctly, discussing about that. but I don't think anything expired. That was, okay. And I'm not familiar, is it with the pre-clearance process? Is that good, Jeff?
If thinking of just a procedure to deal with such things as we've heard tonight, forgetting about this particular situation, but if a resident or someone else has a concern and makes a formal request to the Harbor Management Commission, what would be what's the process to address that? I think it's difficult to do it, in a meeting where you hear it the first time, but would you refer it to committee to come back and make a statement to the Harbor Commission to understand this, or you know what I'm getting at?
I understand, yeah.
Because if someone comes to a meeting and we hear something,
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing.
but you
it.
have a responsibility to respond to a resident.
Correct.
Well, I think if we get a formal request, then we could dig into it and get the information that we're looking for to make a decision.
And
Jeff?
Laura, you had Laura.
We've heard most of this before. Linnell has made formal PowerPoint presentations. So this is not new.
But what I'm concerned about is there's, I guess, drainage off of various properties there? No. That's not a septic system or anything that's overflowing and going into the, well, this is what I was wondering about. What exactly is the issue? Is there boat runoff from washing of boats or something, where people, that I don't know. That's okay.
Well, she talked specifically about filling of wetland, and I know previously, I believe it was the president of Wilson Point Association, and I don't know if it was also somebody from Norwalk Yacht Club they came and addressed us. And they defended the work that had been done, and I don't remember the details now, but
was it permitted work? Was there a permit? I mean, that we reviewed? I don't even recall reviewing any.
Well, no, it wasn't because of a permit review, and I'm not sure when this work that Linnell Jones supposes was not done appropriately, when it was done. I don't know.
Okay.
This has been brought up several times before to several commissions, and maybe there's information about resolution in the water quality committee minutes. I know if, I'm not saying go back and watch their recordings, but maybe just look at the minutes. So this has been addressed.
Well, Dennis, I get it right now. I'm not sure how to proceed. Right.
my comment was, regardless, is the commission has never made a statement about this. I mean, we've heard it, and is it a responsibility when someone makes a formal complaint to make a formal response to it?
Well,
whether it's this or anything else.
I mean, certainly we're concerned about water quality. There's no question about that. And same with the Shellfish Commission in the area. Was there an application that we have to address that we didn't address properly? That's it. That's.
I don't think that's I mean, it's. What you just spoke about was fill and drainage, and it's certainly nothing. We're not being asked to approve anything now. This is past completed work, which Ms. Jones has an issue with. And is it our? I don't know if we would have had any regulatory. Well, according to the appellate court, we don't have any regulatory authority, anyways. But I don't know if we would have had any review authority at the time it was done. And of course, we're not the regulatory agency. So we're, to whom does responsibility for improperly conducted work fall?
The DEP.
Well, I just caution you, Chris, one thing about, because of that appellate court decision, I don't think we immediately want to take the position that we don't have any authority. I think we want
Well,
to.
I know. I'm being a little
Assert
facetious.
the authority, what we think is the right way to do it, and
Right.
until somebody tells us a deep specific with a specific project says, don't.
Yeah, to stand down. I mean, our charge is clear as far as the harbor management plan is
Now,
concerned.
if there were DEP violations concerning this or any other property, we've asked deep in the past to provide those notices to the Harbor Management Commission as a matter of practice.
Right.
We haven't received any copies of.
Well, is
of
this
that.
something that they have done already that we should know about?
This has all been presented before to the commission. We've
Yeah.
all had invoices of pipes and things like that we reviewed or brought in as part of the presentations.
And it's been turned over to the Water Quality Committee, who subsequently did water testing. And DEEP has addressed it, saying everything was done completely correctly. As I say, I will be told that I have a conflict of interest in this, so I'm just presenting the facts, though.
So there was water quality testing based on coliform, bacteria counting, chemicals, whatever it was that was looked at.
Based on Linnell Jones's accusation, there was water quality testing, but John, I don't know exactly who did it and exactly
Or what was tested.
Joe Schneiderlein would know.
Yeah. Yeah, there was testing done, John, but Joe, like Lori said, Mrs. Schneiderlein will know exactly when it happened. I don't have that information with me.
Is Joe here this evening? No.
No, he isn't.
He let us know he wasn't going to be here.
Oh, yeah.
John, you want to
I'll take
say
it
something
upon
else, John?
Go ahead, Judge Preston.
Yeah, I'd just like to say this is very complex. There's several issues that have been brought up, and just to say it in a verbal, it's too confusing. This should be presented in a written format so we can look at each of these allegations and analyze them. Otherwise, it's just talk, in my opinion. It should be done in a written format.
Okay.
And then to be analyzed in a committee setting to report back to the commission or to discuss it all at a commission meeting.
Either way, otherwise we lose. Yeah.
And I'm correct, am I not, that the roads in Wilson Point are all private, so the Public Works Department is not involved in maintenance and things like that, correct? Lori?
Correct.
Well, I mean, what's the commission's feeling as far as getting a cadre of, well, actually, perhaps working with Joe Schneiderlein or whoever, who is also on is part of the Harbor Commission through the Water Quality Committee, and a few of us to discuss what the issues are.
I think that we should check with Joe Schneiderlein to see what testing was done and if it's appropriate.
Okay.
You get a letter or a list
Ms.
what the issues are. And then
Yeah, so Ms. Jones, can you send the commission your questions in writing, please?
Is she still there?
It does not look like she's not listed as an attendee, so I don't think she's still on.
She is not there. Nope.
Well, maybe Amelia, would you be able to get in touch with her, or how we can get in touch with her?
Yeah, I have her email.
Yeah, and make a
I can
request
forward.
that she can forward, I guess, her comments in a sort of a formal fashion to us.
You got it.
To review and maybe discuss with Joe Schneiderlein and perhaps outline what the issues might be that we can address.
All right. I'll have her send us something in writing.
I mean, Steve, does Shellfish Commission look at this as well? I don't know, Steve is not here. Oh, Steve is left. Okay,
Steve was here, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
you know. so-
Yeah, so get that together. I'll be happy to help with that.
And we had a lot of us were involved with this discussions about the pump out machine at the Norwalk Yacht
Right.
Club that wasn't compliant, and that's all part of the same stuff.
Okay,
Anything else on this issue to talk about?
Now, if she submits a written request,
Okay.
you know, it would be, we could then look at it.
All
And then
right, I'll
just,
do-
and I can help with that, Dennis.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
If we're set with this item, we'll go to go to approval of the minutes with November 16th. I believe we all received a copy.
Mhm.
And any changes were done according to John, right?
Yeah, only got one comment from Lori. I'll fix that and send it out if it's approved.
but I thought.
Okay. I have one comment that I noticed today when I was looking at it. For some reason, I don't even remember what the vote was, but said I was in opposition, which I don't believe I was. But it was, I could email you and let you know.
Yeah, it's better that way,
Okay, I will do that.
please.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought these past 2 minutes were very well presented, very well put together. I read, unless of course there were some other issues that I didn't know what Lori had found. And again, I wasn't sure about your comment, Dennis.
Ironically, it was the spelling of Linnell Jones's name.
Oh, okay. No,
Yeah,
We'll fix that. We'll fix that.
no, that's good.
I'll email John and we'll get it straightened out.
Yeah,
Other than that,
Do we have a motion
I
to
have a
approve the
motion to
November
approve the minutes.
16th minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Do we
I'll
have a
second
second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Right, aye.
Motion carries. Before we adjourn, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, happy New Year, and with your family and friends, and come back in good standing.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah,
Same
everyone.
to you, Dennis. Thank you.
everyone
Same
here-
to you,
Thank you very
Dennis.
much.
and the commission.
Happy
And
holidays. Happy
same to
holidays,
everyone
everyone.
here. Happy
I'll
holidays,
second that
everyone.
motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? No, though.
Well,
We did.
go ahead, Jeff.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We're all in
And to
favor.
have a happy
Yeah.
holiday.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Joyous solstice.